Сара Дубовис, и вы снова с нами на женском каббалистическом канале «Чего хотят женщины». Сегодня я особенно вдохновлена, потому что сегодня у нас сюрприз. У нас в гостях ведущий астролог с мировым именем Яэль Ярдени. Не просто астролог, каббалистический астролог. Она также очень близкий человек для меня, мой ментор, и я хочу ее вам представить. Hi, Yael.
Hi, Sara.
Welcome to our Kabbalistic channel.
I'm very happy to be here.
So, Yael, I know you for many years, and I know you're actually the Kabbalah teacher. So, Kabbalah, astrology, how does it work, and how did you become astrologer?
So I hear that very, very often, that people are asking me, what? Astrology is part of Kabbalah? Actually, it is. You know, Kabbalah is a very, very complex knowledge with a lot of branches. And one of the important branches of the knowledge is the knowledge of the calendar, the knowledge of the seasons, the knowledge of all the windows of time that open and close. We know that one of the first commandments, the first commandment upon coming out of Egypt, was actually the blessing of the new moon, which is really strange. It could have been, I don't know, straightforward, the 10 Commandments or something like that. But in fact, there are a lot of secrets in understanding the cosmos and Kabbalistic astrology via the planets, because we need this knowledge to control time, to control our lives better. For me, I have to say that I had a rendezvous with destiny in my life, because in 1987, I traveled to New York while I was still in university in France, because I was interested in Kabbalah. And when I met my teacher and master, Rav and Karen Berg, my first job was to translate English books of astrology of the Rav into French. So that was really, in a way, it was written in the stars, you know, like much, much later when I learned, it was totally written in the star that I would have this amazing encounter with my teacher, and that I would actually take that knowledge really in my life and for people to the next level.
And then you became astrologer.
And then I became an astrologer several years later, and Kabbalistic astrologer, which is very different from conventional astrology, first and foremost because we use a completely different calendar.
There are many types of astrologies in the world, as far as I know. So what's unique in Kabbalistic astrology in particular?
So many factors make Kabbalistic astrology very different in its concept, in its intention, from regular other system of astrology. I think that the first main difference is the fact that we use a different calendar, just simply. Our calendar is unique because it's half lunar and half solar, which means our month, a lunar month, which you know are shorter than the Gregorian months because they are 29 and a half days. And our calendar is solar. We still use the system of the solar calendar and the seasons, and we combine the both. And with that, we realize a complete different table of days and of months. And so, like, very often times when people come to me and say, you know, I'm reading, you know, about my sign, and really this is not me. And 99% of the time, when you check their date of birth with our calendar, they're of a different sign they thought altogether. So first difference is the calendar. The second difference is also the interpretation, because the way we view Kabbalistic astrology is as a tool to resolve a person's tikkun or correction. This is a tool for the person to understand what they need to work on, what is their meaning of life, how can they transcend the limitations of their chart, of their natal chart. So for us, it's a very active tool.
So the Kabbalistic astrology, where people can study and connect to Kabbalistic astrology.
So I'm very happy actually to announce that about a year and a half ago, we opened the first Academy of Kabbalistic Astrology here in Russia, and we stream also online to the entire world. So you can, if you want to see, it's academyastro.com. And we started actively a program of teaching people and astrologers, actually. I have a lot of astrologers, regular astrologers in our, academy. And we are really teaching how to understand each and every sign of the zodiac from the point of view of the Kabbalistic system, which is again very different. What is the intent of every sign of the zodiac? What is their very special and particular tikkun? What is, for example, the angel that rules every sign? We're teaching as well about the months. We are teaching about the new interpretation about the planet, how to draw and interpret a special, Kabbalistic astrological chart, a natal chart. So we teach it. And then, where we are, we also have Rosh Chodesh. We have the new moon every month where people are invited, for a social event and a lot of understanding about the Hebrew letters. We created the lunar month. So we have a lot of activities, and, I'm very glad to say that it started here in Moscow.
You said about many astrologers, but is it safe to say that in Kabbalah Center, International Kabbalah Center, that started its way in the late 70s, you're the first Kabbalistic astrologer?
Well, technically, I'm a senior astrologer. There was an astrologer before me. She's now retired. She's fantastic. And she lives in Israel. But I would say, that somehow I got picked up by the cosmos and, by the light to push this knowledge and reveal it a lot more. I mean, my teacher started before me, by revealing more and more of the knowledge. But I'm glad that I could, have my, mission in really spreading it in all around the world. And I wish that more and more people not only will learn it, but would become a lot more conscious of everything that is going on every second of every day in the cosmos. It changes everything.
So we are a women channel. The question is there a difference between men and women of the same astrological signs?
Absolutely. This is a great question. This is a fantastic question, actually. There is absolutely a difference. And, there are different ways to look at it. First of all, female souls are somewhat more connected to the moon. So when we address, for example, the chart, the astrological chart kabbalistically of a woman, we immediately going to see that the moon is going to be an important influence in their life. And as per their sign of the zodiac, women, female soul, will always take the sign more to the extreme. They will always show a lot more of the extreme of that particular sign. So for instance, let's take an example, okay? Let's take a male Scorpio, Scorpio is strong sign, versus, female Scorpio. So a male Scorpio will always be more soft. They will be less angular. We know that Scorpio is about control. It's about, strong and powerful manifestation of the energy. It's about, getting down to business and seeing all the detail and a lot of judgment and criticism. When we see the male, we'll kind of have a more attenuated, perhaps, version of it. When you see the female Scorpio, it's everything plus. It's really like the most intense of the spectrum and plus, Women, what can you do? Women, it's down to earth. They bring all the energy and they push all this energy forward for the better and for the worse.
So it's all great and nice and very interesting information. But people often ask how we can use astrology, especially Kabbalistic astrology, practically in day-to-day life.
Well, first of all, right now we are shooting and Mercury is in retrograde motion, okay? So this is practical. How is it practical for us to know that Mercury is in retrograde motion? A, because all the shape of communication, which Mercury is the ruler, all our communication, when that happens 3 weeks at a time, is totally changed. So if we had a plan to communicate in a certain way, a plan for traveling, here my husband traveled today and there was a mess with all the planes, with his flights that got changed. If you are about to sign a contract, right? You know, when Mercury is in retrograde, you have to pay particular attention because all the communication is kind of rebooted somehow in the cosmos. Another practical application is positive days and negative days. We know since we are using, you know, the moon to rule our calendar and our months, we know that when the moon starts and when the moon rises up to the full moon, these are particularly good times to start new things, to be a pioneer. On the contrary, when the moon is waning down, these are times to retreat and be more within ourselves rather than all of a sudden start a new endeavor. This is not the proper time because the moon is telling you, no, shush, you know, just calm down, go in, understand, see what happens the first time of the month, analyze it, recuperate your strength, and then start again when the moon is born again in the next month. Okay? So these are very practical application. Number two, all our life is about relationship. You know, think about it. We are born into this world to a family, to a mother, to a father, to sisters or brothers. You know, then we move on to school and there are a lot of people around us. Then we move on to university, to career. So all our life is surrounded by people. And what people don't understand or misunderstand is that every sign of the zodiac has a different language. Imagine you come to China and you speak Vietnamese. Do you think you're going to be understood? Absolutely not. And if you speak Mandarin Chinese as opposed to Cantonese Chinese, in some region, you are not understood at all. So every sign of the zodiac, every family of sign has a different language. Our job as astrologers and teachers, Kabbalistically, it's to teach the right language. So if my boss is a Leo, if my mother is a Leo, I'm going to learn, you know what? Starting by something negative, the conversation, it's not going to go anywhere. I have to first acknowledge and show something positive. For example, talking to a Pisces in a strong fashion, they will disappear. We are in the month of Pisces. They just vanish. Even if they are right here, their mind is already gone. So we practically learn how to address every sign of the zodiac in a more optimal way. So communication is restored and then together at one, you know, as one unified soul, we can continue and build.
Okay. It was very clear and it was very, very practical, which is amazing. And we're going to meet again very soon. Yael,
fantastic. Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Мы закончили на сегодня. Мы договорились с Яэль, что мы проведем для начала 5 встреч. Каждая последующая встреча будет о какой-то природной стихии, потому что каждый знак зодиака относится к природной стихии. Это вода, воздух, земля и огонь. И так как мы находимся сейчас в месяце рыб, следующее наше видео будет про водные знаки. Оставайтесь с нами, мы скоро встретимся опять.